Welcome, everyone. I see familiar faces and I see some new faces as well. Welcome to today's Shamans Directory live event, The Ancient Soul of the Andes, with Mayumi Beckers. Welcome, everyone. While we're all settling in, I invite you to turn off your devices, silence phones and anything else you might have going on around you. And I'm going to take my own advice and turn off all the pinging noises on my computer and settle into your own sacred space wherever you are so that you can take in all the wisdom and knowledge that will be shared with us today during this event. And I'm always honored to have an opportunity to welcome you to our live events. So for those of you who do not know us yet, Shamans Directory is an online global platform dedicated to bringing shamanic earth-based services to the world's doorstep. We are inclusive to original people, First Nation healers, and modern day lineage-based shamanic practitioners. We are a nonprofit created for healers, teachers, clients, and the curious to offer global access to shamanic healing and teaching, and to contribute to the preservation, protection, and illumination of traditional and indigenous wisdom across the planet. It is our hope that all of our offerings at Shamans Directory will inspire you to explore the earth-based traditions of the world and to add shamanic earth-based healing to your regular health and well-being routine. If you are not already a part of our growing global community, we invite you to visit our website at Shamans Directory to learn more about us and sign up for our monthly newsletter, where you will receive invitations to other events like this. And you can also catch up on all of our past live events at Shamans Directory on YouTube. So I will post our links in the chat during today's program. And I would like to now introduce you to Mayumi Beckers. It's always a pleasure for me to introduce members of the Shamans Directory team, and Mayumi Beckers is a modern medicine woman and a founding member of Shamans Directory. She may be familiar to you as one of the hosts of our summits and live events. Most people do not know, and I always like to say this, that she is also the woman behind the design of our website and anything else that you may find visually elegant about Shamans Directory. She's responsible for all of the beauty around the directory. The flow of the river of life led Mayumi to the practice of shamanic energy medicine. She has studied with many teachers and offers many techniques, from addressing stress and depression to energetic clearing and soul retrieval. She is here to assist anyone on their healing journey. After living and working in the fast-paced cities of Tokyo and London for many years, she now lives a more natural, balanced life in the countryside along the river Wall in the Netherlands. Mayumi believes that life is an ongoing school of consciousness and that there is wonderful shamanic earth-based wisdom to be found all around the world. Wisdom that can assist us in accessing our true essential self, rebalancing our energies, and liberating ourselves from our past and limiting beliefs so that we may walk through life with renewed excitement for being alive. In her private practice, she offers sessions both online and in person. So I now introduce you to Mayumi Beckers for the Ancient Soul of the Andes.
Thank you, Tricia, for this introduction. And hello, everyone, again. Welcome at this event. As Tricia already said, my name is Mayumi. I am an Andean shamanic energy medicine practitioner from the Netherlands, and I've had the privilege to assist in sacred journeys in the Peru with Andean energy masters, and it brings me immense joy to be continuing this work and also by bridging people who are interested in this kind of travel and journey to also offer them the opportunity to join as well. And my wish is really to guide those who seek to explore Peru's ancient sacred sites and connect also with these highly skilled Andean shamanic energy medicine men and women, and also by being there to deepen their connection with themselves and also find their, truest nature and the gifts in a profound way. And before delving into this topic for today about the Asian sacred sites in Peru and also sharing my learnings and insights and experiences, I want to share a little bit how I came to this path and why I felt such a deep connection to this sort of ancient path. And from a young age, I was quite fascinated about the unknown, the ancient mysteries, the legends, and the myths, and also really the unexplained phenomena. And I was drawn to places like Easter Island and the Nazca Lines and the pyramids of the Americas, as well as Egypt. And as a teenager, I don't know why, but I wrote a report about the Mayas and the Aztecs. And I also had this magazine subscription called The X Factor, which was a magazine dedicated to all the anomalies around the Earth. But I sort of kept this interest a little bit more private. It was something that I was personally, kind of, yeah, really keen on learning more. And as a student, also, I didn't feel really that I belonged there too well. And deep down, I sensed also a void within myself, but also really avoiding my education. I kind of sensed that there was something really very important that needed to be revealed, but it wasn't shared. And something that is so significant to us and to us as a humanity as well. So in my path, although I pursued more external success and also material achievements, my life eventually also reached a point of crisis, and it took an unexpected turn. And it was also at that time that I sort of got back into, and I found myself returning back into going into this ancient knowledge. My earliest fascination is going back into the ancient mysteries and the sacred sites. So looking back at that, I felt like perhaps my ancestors were already trying to reveal something then through me here. And around that time in 2011, I discovered Graham Hancock's documentary series, and perhaps many of you know about this as well, which is called The Quest of the Lost Civilizations. It's highly recommendable. It's a three-part series. And when I saw this, it was such a revelation to me. There was something really awakened here for me, like a deep rooted longing that I was searching for a very long time. And it sort of showed up here. And it opened up a new world for me here to learn more about what the Asians ones were trying to convey. And in this documentary of Graham Hancock, he explores, as he also does with the new Netflix series, that he travels around the world and he explores all of these Asian sites. And in this documentary, he was in particularly looking at the Yonaguni monuments off coast of in Japan, and the pyramids in Cambodia, also Easter Island, and of course the pyramids in Egypt. And in his quest, which was really striking for me to learn at that time, it was really that he was emphasizing all of these striking commonalities in how these structures were built with precision and aligned as with the stars in an astronomical way. And many of these ancient sites, when he said that, date back far long ago, like over 10,000 years ago, before the before the Great Ice Age and the Great Flooding as well. So what he was saying here was also far beyond the conventional education as well, and the historical beliefs around this. So my journey into shamanism began really through this research, because this research led me deeper into learning more about the Asian knowledge and also some of the sacred practices that were evolved by the Asians, including ayahuasca or other plant brews like the blue lotus that were used by our ancestors for their ritual purposes. So I can only say with certainty that my shamanic path was actually sparked by looking into these Asian mysteries and in these Asian science and technology and wisdom and knowledge. And all of these have been forgotten and they're still waiting to be rediscovered. I believe that many people are drawn, of course, to these mysteries. And I think there's a lot more starting to be revealed today as well. And also around that time, from the moment I heard about Lake Titicaca, and also the surrounding sites of Tiwanaku and Pumapunku, believed to be one of the important and one of the oldest ancestral civilizations around the earth. I really felt this really deep, profound pull to visit these sites one day in my lifetime. And I also, around that same time, I learned about that line, the Capacnan, from northwest to southeast, which is the Great Inca Trail or the Inca Royal Road. And when I saw this line and how many sacred mountains, rivers, and sacred structures were built along this line and aligned astronomically as well, I really felt like that I needed to go there. I actually wanted to travel all of these sites. I wanted to follow this line, which I never did, though. I think it will take a lifetime to really travel to all of these places, but I was so drawn to this place, and never did I know that I would study here Andean traditions as well, and having this relationship with Peru back then. And later, I also learned from one of my master teachers, Pumadventures Singona, that this line from northwest to southeast is also known as the Chakana, which is the ley line of truth. And in my research, it's also known as the La Ruta de Viracocha, the way of Viracocha. It was perhaps the Asian name before it was called the Chakacnan, the Great Inca Road, because the civilizations were a lot older before the Inca Empire came through. And the Chakacnan means truth. And I, of course, deeply resonated with that because my name, Mayumi, has also an element of truth in it. So it felt really a natural sort of meeting here that I had. And I also want to say here that this line, the Ruta de Viracocha, the great creator god, right, of the Andes, there is no coincidence that all of these megalithic sites are built along this line. And when you look at some of these structures, they are all very ancient. And of course, this goes perhaps against the conventional academic history, whereby many of these megalithic structures are believed to be built by the Incas themselves and are therefore not much older than 1500 years BC. So it's considered a lot more recent than what I and some other researchers believe. And of course, I want to say here that I am not an expert in Peru's sacred sites, neither am I an historian or an academic. I'm just merely interested in Peru's sacred sites. And I have only visited Peru twice. And of course, I hope to return back every year to learn also with my master teachers and also to deepen my connections with the majestic mountains and the sacred waters, the ancient sites, and to discover more what each has to offer there. And for today, I prepared a visual presentation of what I have discovered and learned and received so far. But as Trisha already mentioned, I had to sort of cut out some of it. Peru is absolutely rich in history and culture, and I've only also seen probably just a little fraction of it. There's so much more to learn from Peru, but also the other parts of the South Americas, of course. So this is kind of a little trail of my breadcrumbs, so to speak. And my hope is that when you listen to my journey, that it will also inspire you or remind yourself to imagine your trail of breadcrumbs as well. And that it will inspire you to perhaps also journey to Peru or to other remarkable sacred sites around the world to connect with these ancient sites, to connect with our ancestors, and also to bring, your true nature forward, to really remember your true nature forward. And these sacred sites were built to last through times. They stand across times to, survive all the earthquakes as well. They were built here to last for a long time. And they were built not only to honor the people before them, but they were built as messages and gifts for generations after. So I believe that in these structures, there are wisdom and knowledge to be found for us to remember. And I also believe that they sort of knew the bigger time cycles of life that we're in, and that there were some messages here for us to really remember our true nature, and that they could sort of warn us perhaps of things that will come in the future as well, to really be more connected with the cosmos, as we are quite far out in modern mankind. We're far disconnected from nature as it wasn't in ancient times. So I feel that these sites are really powerful places, powerful tools to guide us to really connect and remember ourselves, and also to invite the whole human family here really to evolve and to awaken and to reconnect with that great wisdom that was there for us and is still here for us because it transcends time. So I would like to show you my visual presentation. So just give me a moment to set it up here as I will share my screen. So to begin, I would like to start sharing some images here of some megalithic structures from the Andes, including Tiwanaku and Pumapunku in Bolivia, as well as Machu Picchu in Peru, as well as some other really remarkable sites around the world, such as the Obsidian, which is in the temple of Abydos in Egypt, and Göbekli Tepe in southeastern Turkey, and Ahu in Easter Island. And they share this beautiful structure in these manifestations, is quite sophisticated and really requires this engineering skill of how to build these blocks. But among them, what I want to highlight is in particularly Göbekli Tepe, because it has been worldly recognized as the oldest known temple around the world. And it's an ancient spiritual site dating back to the end of that last ice age, 12,000 years ago. And this basically finding really suggests something else because it predates Sumer, which was always considered as the most advanced and earliest civilizations in our world. So it's very striking to see all of these images, I believe, that there is such a commonality to be seen, and it also really demonstrates a level of mastery that really continues to amaze us today. And I want to read out this quote from one of the papers by Dave Truman that is also on Graham Hancock's website. And he's an author and researcher and investigator. And it is from the paper Asian Alignment in the Andes, Hints at the Lost Global High Culture. There is some evidence to support the extreme antiquity of Andean civilization in the legends of the indigenous peoples. Many of them mention a time in the distant past when there was a great civilization of demigods called the Naupak Machula, the wise old ones, elsewhere called the Viracochas. Other legends speak of the destruction of the Asian civilization by a great flood called the Unyu Pachacuti, which swept down the Altiplano from the north, obliterating everything in its path. In some legends, Viracocha himself is portrayed as the one who restored the gifts of civilization to humanity after he had destroyed his first creation in Unyu Pachacuti. And very little of this information is valued by academic archaeologists. So I also have read from several sources that at around 12,900 years ago, near the end of the Pleistocene Ice Age, there was a giant comet that hit the Earth, and perhaps there were several comets, and that triggered the start of a rapid and an intense cooling period, which is called the Younger Dryas. And since then, we have been actually in the Holocene Ice Age, which is still an ice age. It's an interglacial glacial cycle that we're still in. So it is not odd to say that our ancestors were likely far more advanced in terms of consciousness and spiritual awareness, especially before this great flood happened. And they were masters, navigators, astronomers, engineers, architects. They were high priests and healers, and they all had this deep connection with the universe, and they understood the universal laws and how nature worked and built these megalithic structures and these monuments around the world. And through that, they also raised kind of like this high culture, as Dave Truman is also speaking here. What you see here is a cycle which is about the Kali Yuga, and you might have heard of this before. This is from Bibu Dev Misra, who has been extensively studying the Yuga cycle since 2012, also around when the Mayan calendar ended. And yeah, he has been studying a lot of Asian civilizations and mysteries, and also some other timelines, as well as what other prophecies of original peoples had to say. And according to Bibu, the Yuga cycle spans 24,000 years and is split into basically two cycles of 12,000 years, and each cycle has four yugas. And it starts with the Satya Yuga, which is the golden age, the Treta Yuga, which is the silver age, and the Dwapara Yuga, which is the bronze age, and the Kali Yuga, which is the iron age. And so it's either in a descending cycle of virtue that lasts 12,000 years and then goes up into an ascending cycle of virtue of 12,000 years. And there's basically a difference here. Like if we would think about the golden age, is more about a spiritual age, a highly evolved consciousness. And if we think about the Kali Yuga, it is more about a material age where consciousness is more unevolved, I would say. It got this, there's a devolution happening here in the levels of consciousness, and it's more ego-based consciousness. So right now, we are at the Kali Yuga, the lowest point of virtue and consciousness, and we are actually also beginning the ascension process, as according to Bibu in March 2025, at the solstice, which is also the same time when the Aquarius age is actually starting as well. So we are living in remarkable times to actually, be alive when this shift from descending to ascension is happening. And this is kind of an evolved chart from Bibu here. This is a chart from his recent book, The Yuga Shift, where he states that the Yuga cycle and the precession cycle are exactly one and the same. And he basically added, on top of this 24,000 year cycle, he added two additional transition times, which he received from some Greek descriptions. And one was called the Katiklismos, which is represents the great winter and lasts 1,200 years. And this actually represents the Younger Dryas age itself, as I mentioned before. And on the other hand, there's the Ekpirosis age, which is the great summer. And this also brings significant changes to the earth that will also cleanse and purify the world. So we are living in these challenging times, and I think we can all feel it. And this is also the time when new divine energy would arrive here that will serve as the foundations to build this new civilization that will eventually evolve to the civilizations that are more enlightened and spiritually advanced, as in the Golden Age. And I would like to quote here Bibu himself, because that explains it all very well. Evidently, the Yuga cycle and the Earth's precession cycle are one and the same and extend for 25,800 years. On 21st of March 2025, the Kali Yuga and the entire descending cycle of consciousness will come to an end, and we will enter a long period of transition of nearly 1,200 years, during which time our planet will be dramatically altered beyond recognition, and the outlines of a new civilization will be manifested, which will be permeated by compassion, peace, harmony, and truth. The environment will be restored to its original pristine state, and the interdimensional gateways may open up, revealing to us a reality that we have long forgotten. However, my research also indicates that the collapse of the current Kali Yuga civilization is likely to be completed in a small window of time between 2025 to 2040 due to a combination of global wars and comet impacts. These are the end times that the ancient prophecies tells us of, when our reality will be drastically altered and we will be forced to introspect about our patterns of thought and our way of life. So by exploring Bibu's research here about the Yuga cycle, it would also be possible to consider that this golden age of higher consciousness and this advanced level of awareness and spiritual wisdom existed long before us, and that there was a time when humanity thrived in greater harmony and in greater balance with the natural world as well as the cosmos. And I also want to highlight here his interview with renowned astrologer Heather Ainsworth on YouTube, which I really highly recommend to watch, because in this interview, he emphasizes that everything is a cycle, including human evolution. So human evolution is part of the cycle, and human evolution is also part of the cycle. And he also explains that our ancestors had a greater cranial capacity in the golden age than what we know now today in modern times. So there's also this notion of our capacity of our brains or our cranial capacity that can expand and contracts according to the cycles. And he also highlights our connection to the black hole at the center of the universe. And he says that the son of the sun resides there, and that in the golden age, that sun was basically really visible. But in the current age, it is invisible and it's more hidden to us. And this sun concept is, very intriguing to me, because it's the other sun is sort of echoed in other indigenous traditions as well. And when I heard from Master Puma Freddy Quispe Singona about the absolute sun, which is a different sun than the sun that we see here, and that it's the son of the suns, and that we or souls are actually returning to that source as well, as that we are originating from. So it's kind of the source of the souls as well. And it kind of all really makes sense to me that there is this sort of bigger cycle that we are perhaps not aware of yet, but it's really interesting if we all would reconsider this possibility of having these deeper cycles that really influence our existence in how we live our lives here and our spiritual journey. And I would like to share some images that beautifully illustrate that line that I was talking to you about the Chakaknan or the Kapaknan, the way of the Viracocha, that is illustrated here on the far left. And that is known as the royal pathway. And that royal pathway aligns perfectly with various sacred sites, as seen in the middle image. And if you see it on the right image, you see that the line also perfectly aligns with the Chakana cross, which is the great Andean cross in Andean cosmology. And what is also interesting to see on that image on the right, that the Kapaknan is 45 degrees from the true north. And apparently, these sacred sites that are on this line are mirroring the Milky Way during the December solstice. So there is no coincidence that these sacred sites were built up there. It's like truly in alignment with the cosmos and how it reflects on Earth. So yeah, it's just very beautiful to look at this, I think, and how our ancestors had this deep relationship with the cosmos and the earth and really understood all of these forces. So a little bit more about the Chakana here. It is often seen, I believe many of you have perhaps seen this symbol, but those of you who haven't, it is very much seen in a lot of Andean crafts and textiles, in potteries, in architecture and jewelry. And it really serves as a powerful reminder of the interconnectedness of all of life, of nature, energy, and spirit. And it's interesting also that this symbol in Andean spirituality holds also a universal significance as well, because I saw it also in Egypt, and it's also apparently visible in Jordan, Albania, and Turkey. And I also found that image on the right, which is in Turkey, is an old mosaic flooring, which they found, which is a perfect resemblance of the Chakana. So and also you might want to say that the Celtic cross has also resemblance of the Chakana as well. So it is really a universal symbol that our ancestors shared, I think, across cultures. And the Chakana is actually a resemblance of the Southern Cross constellation that is represented in the sky as above, so below. And it has a cosmic and universal essence. And you can see the Chakana that is often presented, in different megalithic structures, in carvings, in stones, embedded in temple structures and walls and ceremonial plazas. And some sacred sites are actually built within astronomical alignments and embody the Chakana as well. I want to show you here just the basic principles here of the Chakana, because actually the Chakana is a endless study, I believe, because it has a lot of depths and layers, and it is also kind of a guiding map for our own personal and spiritual growth. So I just want to touch upon like the key meanings here of the Chakana. First of all, you have the four arms, Antisuyu, which is representing the east direction. So it has all of the arms, Antisuyu, Kolasuyu, south, Kontisuyu, west, Chinchasuyu, north. And all of these directions actually also represent other meanings, not only the power sites and the places where some of the structures are built, but also the natural apus, the mountains and the lords and the nustas, the sacred waters. Also, the different elements are associated to these directions, or perhaps like some spiritual archetypes, like, the condor, the puma, the hummingbird, and the serpent. Now, each arm also has like three steps within the Chakana. And going from the top left, you see basically the three different worlds of the Andean cosmology, the three levels of existence, basically. And the Hanakpacha is the upper world, which represents the cosmos, which represents the gods and the celestial realms. And the Kai Pacha represents the middle world, our real world, the earthly realms where humans, plants, and animals live. And then we have the Uku Pacha, which is the lower world. It can also be seen as our inner world, and also associated with our ancestors, as well as the lower world part of the spiritual world. And then the Chakana also represents the three archetypes, the condor in the upper world, the puma in the middle world, and the serpent, Amaru, in the Ukupacha underworld. And also the essences of Yachai, Lankai, and Munai, in which Yachai represents the sacred knowledge and wisdom in the third eye, and Munai, the unconditional love in the heart, and Lankai, the sacred labor and service from the belly. And then we also have these, of course, important principles of Aini, which is about sacred reciprocity and emphasizes really the balance and harmony among everything, among all living beings. And as Master Puma also always says, like, nothing is one way. Energy flows always two way. So Aini is like this energy exchange. And there's always something coming back in this reciprocal cycle of giving and receiving. And this principle of being in right relationship with everything is very central in the Andean spirituality and also in daily life. And it's so beautiful because it embodies the values of respect, the interdependence, the interconnectedness, and also the value of collaboration and cooperation. And the Aini can be further extended in, in greater capacity. And Minka stands for more the communal work and our collective labor, and Mita more for public service. So it can even go further up. And I also want to highlight here the center of the Chakana, which symbolizes the axis mundi or the world mundi, and also represents the center of centers. If you can also imagine the Chakana to be horizontal and you will be standing in that circle, you will be in that center, and you will be in relation with all of the energies and all of the exchange that is happening in all of the realms. Another part that I want to highlight here is also the principle of duality that is also very, very present in Andean cosmology, because there is, of course, as we all know, in the yin and yang, the light and dark, the sun and moon. And in the Andean traditions, they also talk about the sacred Yanantin and the sacred Masintin, which are the complementary opposites, because you need both for balance and harmony. They both are equally important. We need both the light and the dark, and we need both life and death, and all of these powerful masculine forces of natures, the Apus, as well as the powerful feminine forces of natures like the Nustas, and they all contribute together to create something beautiful in the world. What I also find very fascinating about this Chakana is when you focus on the top image and you look at the circle in the center that is within the square, you see that that is also multiplied and how it perfectly creates that three-step Chakana. And the circle and the square also have like deeper spiritual meaning here. The circle symbolizes the divine feminine, the spiritual realm, as well as infinity and eternity, while the square really represents more the divine masculine, the structure, the material world, also the four elements, the four seasons, the four directions. So they both really need each other to work and be in harmony. And the center of the circle also represents the microcosmos. So perhaps ourselves as human beings. And the outer circle represents the macrocosmos. So that's more the universal spirit as opposed to our individual spirit. So that's also all in relation as well. And what is also beautiful about that center circle is it really signifies the omnipresence of the divine that is present in every form of existence. So everything has spirit and everything is in relation here. And sometimes you also see in the Chakana the circle and a triangle around it. And that, of course, also represents the triology, but in a way that it unifies the mind, body, and spirit, or the physical, psychological, and spiritual bodies. The below image, I also want to say something about it because not only reflects it the concept of the duality, it's also showing the mirroring or the shadowing principle here, which is, of course, important for our inner transformation and our own shadow work. And if we are aligned in this Chakana and centered in this Chakana and have these great alignments from all of these worlds, and we do our inner work, we look at our shadows, we are creating this spiritual alchemy. And I think that's also one of the, beautiful things about this Chakana. I would like to show you this image, which is also a representation of the Chakana, which can be seen at the Temple of the Sun in Coricancha in Cusco. I won't go in all detail here because I think there's a whole masterclass if you go through one by one. But again, it shows just the beautiful harmony of how they lived, how they saw the worlds, how the masculine and feminine forces are all, complementary, and how they are also deeply connected with all of the different forces of nature, and that all of these forces are needed to develop their crops and to create seeds, basically further to bloom. So I am, like, as you probably can hear, I'm truly fascinated about the Chakana symbol, and I'm sure there's other people as well sharing this interest because it has so many beautiful and profound layers of wisdom and symbology, and it also appears at the ancient sites. Another image that I would like to show you here, which is also from Coricancha, the Sun Temple in Cusco, is this painting here. And it reflects Cusco, at the center here, which is also known as the navel of the world, or the energetic center of the world. Or, if it's on a microcosmic level, individual level, our belly center. And these ley lines basically mirror also the pathways of the sun and spreading out to all of the directions. And all of these ley lines are also called seques in Quechua. And these are energetic pathways that stretches across the earth. And these ley lines connect all of these power places and sacred places and holy places together. And it is also believed that these ley lines are able to transmit the Earth's natural energies through these power sites and sacred temples that hold these historical and cultural and spiritual relevance. And the Asian ones definitely recognize the powers of these ley lines, as you also could see that one ley line of truth where they build all the megalithic structures around. And where also these alignments are so important for reflecting also the cosmos as well. Now, this aerial photo is a place in Sacsayhuaman. It's called Sacsayhuaman, sorry, in Cusco. It's a very beautiful, magnificent structure here, and especially by seeing it from an aerial bird's eye view, I think is quite striking to see. And according to legend, this sacred site was built by the gods in one single day, and it was dedicated to worship the sun, the moon, the stars, and the lightning. And as you can see on the right-hand side, you see the beautiful zigzag shape of megalithic wall structure, which is apparently even 1 kilometer long. I didn't know that, but it's quite fascinating to see that wall, but I didn't know that it was actually that long as well. But at the center of this image, where you can see the circle again, the circle in the square, which is very important again for the Chakana. And it's this alignment that is so important again to understand that the Chakana is reflection also of the cosmos, and that is all connected with the three earths, the three worlds as well. And yeah, it's just really fascinating. I saw this once that someone put actually Chakana on top of this image, and then you can actually see that not only the circle within the square is visible, but you could actually see the whole outline of the Chakana around it as well. So it's, yeah, very fascinating, I believe. Now, here's just a few images. The Chakana is really visible everywhere, but here I would just like to show you some examples of how you can see how this Chakana is, carved in different structures here. For example, there's Naupa Iglesia, which is a beautiful Asian site. There's Tiwanaku, and around the mountain Salcantay, you also see a rock there with a Chakana shape in there. Also at Isla de la Luna in Bolivia, which is an island for the priestesses and dedicated to the moon. And Machu Picchu, you see more the cross that is more in shape of the Southern Cross, but this also represents the Chakana, which is close to the Pleiades temple. And then there's another image here I put in of Chakan. And of course, you see here that the Chakana not only has 3 steps, it can have more steps here, additional steps up to 7. And what that actually represents is it symbolizes the advanced levels of consciousness and spiritual evolution here. And these sophisticated designs further highlights the Chakana's deep meaning and as a sacred bridge, how they connect the physical and the metaphysical realms. Another symbol that I would like to highlight here is the T symbol that can be found at some of these structures, but also around the world. And these T-shaped doorways are powerful portals. And I believe that these hold deep spiritual meanings and is commonly associated of being like threshold to enter like another dimension or realm. So I'm giving you here some examples of Aramu Muru, which is in Peru. Then Göbekli Tepe as well. There's many T-shaped structures there. Epumapunku and Tiwanaku. As well as in my research, I found Pueblo Bonito of the Chaco culture built by ancestral pueblos in New Mexico, and Paquime, which is in Chihuahua in Mexico as well. So also these T-shaped designs reflect some sort of a shared or common intention across cultures. So also to symbolize this sort of connection to the divine and opening pathway to a higher consciousness. What I also found was that if you look at the T shape, it is also connected to the second day of the Maya Tzolk'in calendar. And the T sign is associated with the wind and the breath of life and the wind god within the cartouche. And some actually say that the T shape also represents the tree of life and also the human form itself. And again, this has so much layered in its meaning and symbolisms, reflecting this sort of universal language of this T shape as a profound archetype across cultures. Now, going back to that ley line I was talking about, that from northwest to southeast, there are many archaeological sites built, seemingly hundreds or, are built along these lines. And here are just a few images of them just to show some of these representations, like Kiraru the Temple of the Moon, Machu Picchu, the Temple of the Crystal Condor, Ollantaytambo, the Temple of the Pleiades, Sacsayhuaman, which I just showed you from the aerial view, which is the Temple of the Falcon, Satisfied Falcon, and Coricancha, the Temple of the Sun, and Akchi, the Temple of Huiracocha, which is the great creator god of the Andes, as well as it goes further to the Temple of Tiwanaku in Pumapunku. And there are also many magnificent mountains to be found, the sacred mountains, the Apus, that are referred as the spiritual guardians. And in Quechua, Apu translates as a lord, a deity, also as an honored or powerful one. And every Apu has unique qualities and superior energies, and it protects basically the surrounding lands, the communities, as well as all of the creatures that live there. And I'm just putting here a few examples of the Apus that can be found. And there's Apu Ausangate, which stands for the Lord of Manifestation, Koiluriti, the Apu for dreams and to connect with the Pleiades, Apu Salkantai, that holds a lot of sacred knowledge and high vibrational energies, Wamalipa, that is connected with the wind energy, and Pumadventures, which is a power place of the Puma archetype, and Pachatusan, which is also known as the doctors of doctors here that keeps the world healthy. And along with the Apus, we also have the feminine forces of nature, which are called the Nustas. And the Nusta spirits dwell in the mountains, the caves, the rivers, and the lakes. And each Nusta embodies breathtaking beauty, but also a lot of power and unique qualities and healing gifts. And here are also just a few examples. There are really many, many more. But for example, we have here Mama Simona. Nusta Mama Simona is known as a powerful shaman goddess. Then we have Maria Zacapana, who's connected with the wind and the feathers. And next to her is Juana Wamantikla, who is a visionary. And Wakakwilka is a warrior and a transformer. And Chakana is deeply connected with Pachamama, the womb of Pachamama. And Pok, the waterfall, is a beautiful and magical mermaid. And Umantai, which is close to Salkantai, is the goddess of freedom and balance and infinite light. So I want to read out a quote here from Master Puma because he describes this very beautifully about what the essence is of a sacred pilgrimage. When we go on a sacred pilgrimage, we are being initiated, healed, and blessed. We journey consciously, guided by powerful spirit forces. It is a magical path of self-discovery, healing, transformation, and awakening. All of our brothers and sisters who've traveled with us experienced life-changing moments, receiving from the land alchemical treasures. These treasures are not only the wisdom and experiences, but also a renewed sense of direction and purpose that they carry forward after the journey. This state of being purposeful, conscious, awakened is an initiation. It is a blessing that we receive on our pilgrimages. We call them pilgrimages because we travel to unique, powerful, energetic centers in the Andes, places our ancestors have journeyed to for thousands of years. And I think this is so beautifully captured here. And when you really visit also these sacred sites, it is as if you are walking in our ancestors' footsteps. And you are connecting more deeply with the sacred portal of these sites. And as you are sort of transcending time here, you are really connecting with all of these worlds and you are sort of opening yourself up for the wisdom that may come in here as well. And with that, you will awaken further from within and you will receive more knowledge, wisdom, and gifts here. And even if you are not able to travel to these sacred sites, you can connect with them energetically with all of these sacred places. I practiced this myself for many years before I actually physically went to Peru. And I can say that it is equally, well, differently, of course, but also very powerful in its energy just by calling upon them. They will arrive. And you can also, of course, connect with all of these sacred, beautiful sites around your local location, your place, your local Pachamama to create a deeper connection with her there and with the sacred lands and waters. So that's also something that we can always do. And when we embark on the sacred pilgrimage, we also create a beautiful offering to Pachamama Earth, again, also in reciprocity in Aini, right? And also to all the spirit allies to receive their blessings. And we create a beautiful offering that holds our prayers and intentions and also wishes for not only ourselves, but also our family and community. And this offering is known as a Haiwarikui or a despacho or a white mesa. And it's crafted by using the sacred coca leaves, as well as many different seeds that represent each a different meaning. also flowers and sweets and some wine, or perhaps chicha, which is like a local Peruvian corn beer that is used to serve also for the spirits. And this all forms like a beautiful sacred mandala of gratitude and intention. And this particular despacho was part of my sacred pilgrimage with my sister Magali from Pumadventures and Noqan Kani. And it was a deeply moving ritual that we share before embarking on these sacred pilgrimages. And now I would like to introduce you to some of those sacred sites to go a little bit more deeper into them. And as I mentioned, I had to remove some of them because it's just quite a lot. And as I'm just also sharing this, I already know that I'm just scratching the surface because there's so much more to be found in the wonders of the Andes. So I would like to start with Lake Titicaca, and I'm also doing this because this was the place that was really pulling me to go there. And it has many sacred sites surrounding it. And Lake Titicaca is basically nestled high in the Andes at nearly 4,000 meters above sea level. It's located on the border of Peru and Bolivia. Of course, before it was one region, now there's a border in between it. And by the local Aymara people, it is revered as a mystical and spiritual place. And many believe that it holds like, yeah, energetic powers and also portals to other realms. And Lake Titicaca is also often referred in relation to the lost civilizations of Atlantis and Lemuria. And so this lake also serves as a powerful link between these ancient civilizations and to be in connection with them, with that kind of lost wisdom, and also with these spiritually advanced civilizations as well. And it is also believed that when the great flood swept across the earth, that survivors of these lost civilizations sought refuge to the high plateaus, including Lake Titicaca. So many also went there. And therefore, well, not only because of that, but it holds therefore also a lot of, yeah, profound energy and wisdom that we can tap into as well whilst being there or connecting with it. And it's really, yeah, connecting us with this timeless knowledge and energy that is still available to us. I'm going to read out this quote from Freddie Silva, who's an author and researcher of ancient civilizations, because it reflects very well something about Tiwanaku and Titicaca, how profound it is and how meaningful it is. Thousands of years before the Inca, a megalithic civilization flourished around Lake Titicaca that would spread 500 miles to Cusco. Its architects began the project at Tiwanaku in 15,000 BC, but 5,000 years later, a global catastrophe destroyed their enterprise. Together with seven shining ones, the godman Viracocha set about rebuilding and expanding this vision, and the legacy of temples and their unique method of construction still baffles the modern mind. So around Lake Titicaca, I think it's quite a big lake, also in the shape of the puma, and Titi also means puma. So it has also a lot of meaning there. There's a lot of beautiful sacred sites around there, and I'm just highlighting here a few for you. For example, Isla del Sol and Isla de la Luna. So there's two islands in Bolivia. It is believed that it was there where the sun was born, for example, and that the gods were living, sort of walking around there as well. One of the origin stories of the Inca. We have the Uros Islands, the floating islands that preserved their ancient traditions as well on how to actually live on this lake. There's also Amantani Island, which is known for the sun and the temple of the moon. There's Silustani, which are ancient burial towers. And you have the temple of Tiwanaku and Pumapunku, which is, of course, known for the legendary sophisticated stonework and mysteries, and Aramu Muru, which is believed to be a gateway to other realms. And to share a little bit more about Titicaca, it is a site for pilgrimages, and many people would go there to make their offerings and rituals and ceremonies in honor of the origins, in honor of the ancient gods and the life-giving waters that birthed civilization over there. Because legend says that at Lake Titicaca, that was also the birthplace of the moon and the sun and the stars, and also the first peoples. And the first two peoples were Manco Capac and Mama Ochio. And these were divine siblings representing the sacred masculine and the sacred feminine. And they were tasked to find a place to settle themselves. So Viracocha, the creator, sent them a golden staff, and where the staff would effortlessly sink into the earth, that was the place that would mark for abundance and fertility. And Manco Capac and Mama Ochio traveled until they found a place where the staff would sink effortlessly into the earth. And that was a place that is called the Hill of Vanacauri, which is in Cusco, and where the city of Cusco has been built, and which is known as the Nave of the World. Other than this legend story, there's also the story about Lake Titicaca as a Nusta, right? As a Nusta goddess. She's known as Mama Titicaca, also as Mama Ochio, as the first person, the first female being who brought life there. And this first Nusta is referred to as the cosmic princess, a goddess or priestess who descended from the stars and emerged from this lake, basically. And Mama Titicaca embodies this divine feminine energies, the dark energies as well of the cosmos that is reflected in the earth. And she's also connected with all of the waters on earth. And she holds the wisdom of medicine, the arts of healing and ceremonies and weavings, and taught also her Nusta priestesses on Isla de la Luna, which I showed you perhaps a picture before, to train these high priestesses as well. So it is a source of wisdom for the Nusta priestesses. As the original Nusta, she is also the foundation of all the Nustas, and she's the root of all the Nustas. And perhaps like there's many names given to Nustas, and we don't know why, but the Paqos say also the Nustas come in many different forms and live in many different places, and they carry many different names. And I believe that is also why we see maybe many different type of depictions of goddesses and priestesses around the world. These are kind of all connected with each other. So Mama Titicaca is both visible and invisible. She's soft and tender. She's powerful and capable of great change, and including also destruction. And as prophesied by the Paqo priests, we are now in the time of the Pachacuti, which means the era of the world turning upside down. So it is a time of upheaval, a time of transformation and renewal that we're living in. Similar to, as you remember, perhaps the Yuga cycle from before, that we are in this Kali Yuga, in this sort of new sort of age that we are transforming into to this ascending cycle. And also thinking about the cycle of the feminine, of what Mama Titicaca also stands for, the life, death, and rebirth, to rebirth these feminine energies that have been lost and repressed for thousands of years, and to bring balance and healing and growth to become more whole in our evolutionary and planetary consciousness. So this is also, again, for me, very reflecting that Yuga cycle as well, as we were in the Kali Yuga, which is perhaps, material, perhaps a bit more masculine, and that we are ascending to a more spiritual, a more feminine sort of age. So there's no choice that the divine feminine is not rising. We are going into that direction. And yeah, that is what it is. And Mama Titicaca also supports us in all of our shadow work and embracing all of our shadows, which is also critical at this time that we're in the Kali Yuga, and both at an individual level and a collective level. And she invites us to bring forth and heal our repressed parts of ourselves, the repressed feminine energies, to guide us into more wholeness, and to really connect with her and cleanse and purify. And that all of these energies need to be integrated. All of these shadows need to be come into the light. And we know, of course, from our histories as well, that there were times that the divine feminine has been repressed for a very long time. And she has been repressed for centuries, and perhaps also judged, condemned, and even persecuted. But this energy has always been there. It was maybe very deep somewhere down there, but it's always been there, and is waiting to be healed, waiting to be rediscovered, waiting to be reclaimed. And she doesn't want to be silenced anymore. And she's here now to really take her power. And that this divine feminine energy that exists in each one of us, so also the masculine ones of us, or the men of us, right, is energies that we all carry as a human family, but that is all going to rise, and it will all be more present in the world once more. And this is a sacred site called Tiwanaku, and which I also touched upon before, but going a little bit deeper into it, because according to Andean legend, Tiwanaku was also deeply connected with this Andean origin story, because when there was a time that there was a big destruction of the world, Viracocha decided to bring order back into the earth, into our world, and he chose Tiwanaku as one of the places to create all of his creations, including the first humans that I was just mentioning about earlier. And these first humans were also being tasked to share their wisdom and the culture and spiritual guidance to other peoples across the regions. And it's quite amazing to be at Tiwanaku. If you go there, there's hardly any people. It's quite undervalued in comparison to a place like Machu Picchu. It's a big place. It covers approximately 4 square kilometers, this site. And the structures at Tiwanaku are believed to be the remnants of that powerful creation act of Viracocha there. And these include the Acapana pyramid, which is often described as an Andean cross that was once a large star mirror, and as well as the Kalasaya ceremonial plaza, on the top left image, when you look at that statue there, the monolithic statue, you come to that ceremonial plaza and a semi-subterranean temple, which is the sunken court and has 175 stone heads, which you can also see there. It represents the underworld or the lower world of our ancestors. And of all of these sites, there are more on this complex, but the Gateway of the Sun, as pictured below left, is perhaps one of the most famous one at Tiwanaku. It is a beautiful large stone portal, and it's the central figure portrays Viracocha himself, and surrounded by different wing or a lot of winged beings, and it sort of symbolizes also this divine order holding these staffs, this sort of cosmic order, and the symbols also of power and fertility that represents in these stones. And this gateway was also positioned at a place where it was aligned with the solstice as well. But now it is at a different position, so you cannot actually experience that anymore. But knowing that, you would clearly understand that the ancient ones knew much about astronomy and the solar calendar as well. And I have visited this place twice. And I will share you one of my experiences, because I was really called to go to this place and I was really glad to make it here finally. So I wanted to do a prayer with my medicine bundle, which I did. And I was basically overlooking the doorway of the Kalasaya temple as a left image. And I was standing above that sunken cord. And as I was done with my prayer, there was like a big banging sound coming out of the lower world, the ancestors. And I really felt that, you know, the ancestors heard these prayers. And it was also quite interesting because my Bolivian guide immediately felt like a sense of relief, because she was sort of holding some struggles on that day and she felt like a little peace of mind. So we both shared this beautiful experience to connect with these ancestors here in a ceremonial way as well. Another part that I want to highlight here is Pumapunku, which is part of Tiwanaku. This place is really known for its precise cut stones structures, and there's also a megalithic T-shaped terrace platform at Pumapunku. And yeah, when I first saw this, basically, on screens, it was quite, immense to see this, like how precise all of these structures are. And you can see it also, like, of course, clearly when you visit the site. It really shows like an advanced technique here. It is believed that this place was a gateway to other worlds and to other dimensions. And it was believed that this was also a place where high priests would communicate with the spirit realms. And according to some oral traditions, it was here that Viracocha and other divine beings would enter and exit the world. And this site really holds, powerful energies. And this name also, Pumapunku, means the gateway of the Puma. And remember, Titicaca is also related to the Puma. So there is, a beautiful relation here. And it's also believed that this site was once next to Lake Titicaca. So it held like a central space in the universe here as well, due to significant geographical location. And it is kind of similar to what it was probably in Egypt, where the Nile was actually also next to the pyramids, you know? So similar to this, the lake was reaching this site. Amaru Muru is another, magical place. It's called or known as the Gate of the Gods, the Gate of the Heavens, and it's located near Titicaca. It really feels like some sort of Atlantean or Lemurian sort of energy out there. It's built in the Hayumarca mountain region. Within the rock formations of red granite rocks, there is the center and a carving of that T-shaped doorway. And when you visit Aramu Muru, is absolutely stunning. As you climb through the rocks, you see the serpent-shaped rock, as well as the puma rock and its claw, what you see here right below. It's quite a magical place there. And when you would go to this place and hold ceremony there or do your meditation, you will be able perhaps to, do some time traveling there, so to speak. You may have visions. It is quite a powerful place. And I would like to share some of the legends that surround this site. And one of the most intriguing one is the one of the golden solar discs. And these discs were believed to have immense powers and spiritual energies, as they were blessed by the gods. And they were used by the high priest to communicate with the other worlds and the divine forces, and also to maintain the cosmic balance. And apparently there were 3 golden solar discs, but 2 were taken by the Spanish conquistadors, and one was entrusted to a high priest who fled from Cusco to Tiwanaku, no, sorry, to Aramu Muru. There's always a name thing here as well, because many people say Amaru Muru. Amaru means serpent, but it's Aramu Muru because this high priest's name was Aramu Muru, and that's why it's called and dedicated to this person. And he basically escaped and journeyed to this portal. And when he arrived, the doorway opened, there was light, glowing light, and he stepped through, and all what he left behind was this carving of this T-shaped doorway. So people don't think that he died or anything, but that he went into parallel dimension. And some people believe that he would return when humanity would need the golden disc or would need his wisdom. And some people believe that this is still also a portal for spirits and gods to exit and enter the world and sort of check in on the land and oversee what is happening. And others say that this gate will open up again and revealing a bigger, far bigger passage with like sort of giants or something to come through with gods on their sunships and everything like that. So it has a lot of different stories. And I can say, or I can say it's a very magical site. And I've been there also twice. And I had also this vision before actually going there through a plant medicine ceremony. In my ayahuasca visions, I saw actually that rock, and I saw the 2 sort of pillars next to the center of the rock. And I saw the Puma priests there. And I didn't know that it was so significant, but when I arrived there, I was on my own, but luckily I had like a local shaman guide to help me to do the ceremony. And what you need to do here also is to go to the right side first and to ask really for the permission and your intention, and to really give your appreciation to the gods. And then you go to the door and connect your front eye to that keyhole in the door, And that's where you can sort of connect with the spirits and perhaps the stars. And that's what I also experience. It's kind of another realm that you're going into. And after that, you go to the left side of that sort of portal to give your appreciation to the gods. And I believe actually this um, is quite fundamental, I think, to when you visit any sacred site, to sort of build that sort of practice in it, to really go with intent and ask for the blessings and, the permission, and then connect and then really give your gratitude as well, or leave something behind. Um, And also, when I finished, I want to mention here that there was this little white caracara bird, which is a family of the falcon. He was overlooking me in my process, and you can't really see it quite well, but it's on the left side of the top image. There's a white little dot there. That was that bird. And it felt like, oh, the gratitude by the ancestors is received as some sort of, confirmation here. Now, I also like to show you, because I'm quite fascinated by this doorway, that elsewhere there's like some similarities here. There's here one called Hegra in Jordan, and also Yazlikaya in Turkey. And it shows a striking resemblance to Aramu Muru, and also some of the Chakana symbolism that comes through there as well is quite fascinating, that these structures and symbolism hold some commonalities here, suggesting that there is some connection or a parallel intention in creating these sacred structures across cultures as well. Another beautiful site that I'd like to show you is Morai, which is famous for its impressive circular terraces, which were used as an agricultural laboratory, because each basically layer has a different sort of microclimate with a different level of sunlight and different level of humidity. So in ancient times, they could experiment growing different types of crops at different levels of climates. It's also interesting because this site is not just an agricultural lab. Um, it's also seen as Pachamama laying down horizontally, and there's several of these circular terraces there, and the two ones at the center are seen as her ovaries. So it is also seen as a place where people would come, the ancestors and wisdom keepers would come to become that finest essence there, to plant their seeds into Pachamama and to bring forth their gifts forward to the world. And so it is really much about Pachamama and about seeding this place and agriculture. And when I also think more about the circumpunct symbol, which is basically just one circle and a dot in the middle, it also is interesting because you can see it in that way also, although this one has 7 layers, which is probably related to the mystical number 7, and also the Pleiades and the feminine relation to the number 7 as well, or the 7 levels of consciousness. But if you just focus just in a simplistic way on that outer line circle, which represents also femininity, which we talked about before, and eternity and infinity, and this circular movement of time that is endless, and there is always something to be created, right? And manifested from the cosmos into this physical realm. And I think the dot in the middle also represents the seed itself, the spark, and the intention that gives life here on Earth into the physical realm. And what I also read about is it also represents sun, it represents the oneness, it represents divinity, origin, also the I am and unity consciousness. So there's a lot of depths, I think, in this structure and in these circular terraces and symbols that it represents here. And yes, I would just like to say here further that um, it's so important to, plant our seeds here as well. And I wasn't actually really aware of this before, but as you can see, this place um, reminds perhaps you as well to the Shamans Directory logo. And I actually briefed the designer with the circumpunct symbol as well. And even before that Shamans Directory was still an idea, a seed of creation, basically, I energetically journeyed to this site before visiting Peru, because I was, very, pulled by this place. And I planted I planted the seed in one of those circular terraces. And little did I know that this was actually possible. I learned also with one of the classes with Master Puma that, people would go there to bring forth their finest essence and their seeds as well. So this is also something that we can do to plant energetically seeds at different places. And especially this one is great, of course, because it represents Pachamama herself as well. And another site I like to show you is this, striking, beautiful site called Kira Lumiyok, meaning the one with a moonstone. And it's a sacred megalithic site that honors the moon and the divine feminine. And at the heart of this site is, I think, 5,000 square meters or so large. And there's many different wakas and sacred sites around there. But at the center of this site, you see the crescent moon and the rock, and which is, of course, very beautiful. And if you stand a little bit more from a distance, people say it's the puma's head, and the crescent eye represents the eye of the feline. Um, and the architecture of this crescent moon as well as other parts of this site, but especially this part shows also that our ancestors had a profound connection to the cosmos, and they understood the cycles of time and also the celestial alignments, um, and alignments also with their spiritual calendar, and also how to sort of navigate through these times when they were reading the stars during the solstices, and how the priests were reading the stars and could sort of advise the people and the community of what needs to be done or what kind of ceremonial purposes needs to be done. So it was really related to this sort of Asian tradition where they also honored the moon very much. And throughout this sacred site, there is a ceremonial square. There is rock walls and carvings to connect with, similar like how you would connect with Aramu Muru, the doorway. There's also a cave that transmutes heavy energy as you go deeply into Pachamama's womb. There's also a small waterfall for ceremonial offerings, and also Vaca de Sulacaca, which is like a beautiful, yeah, temple at the top, which is the right bottom image, which also shows some megalithic structures. And really, by being here, similar to Aramu Muru, really is like you are standing in this sort of timeless place, in a spiritual place. You step into this other world and connect with celestial beings as you were kind of transported back into time. And yeah, also a time when the moon was commonly really valued, a valued deity to guide the civilizations. And yeah, the presence really still really lingers there as well. And the Temple of the Moon is associated, of course, with the divine feminine, but also magic, knowledge, fertility, and new life. And surrounded by the beautiful nature that it has here and the colorful flowers and trees, you can spot many eagles, hummingbirds, deers, and guinea pigs. And yeah, it's a feast for the eye, basically, this place. It's like if you're stepping into the land of magics and wonders, and it's a beautiful place to make your offerings to the lands and the moon and the divine feminine, where past and present come together, and where you kind of share this eternity of and timeless space as well. And I want to read out another quote from Freddie Silver here, because this is related to this particular temple. The Andean system of sacred knowledge is centered on the principle of seven for a number of reasons. First, it honors Viracocha and his seven shining ones, the builder gods of the Andes who built civilization after global flood. Second, it symbolizes the Pleiades, the cluster of seven stars that are claimed by many Asian world cultures as a source of wisdom. Around 3100 BC, most cultures were lunar rather than sun-based. Seven prominent trajectories appeared to match each of the carving's seven steps, the solstices, the equinox, and the four major and minor standstills of the moon at this latitude. Perhaps this is one of the reasons why this site is referred to as Place of the Moon Rock. Now I want to show you some masculine forces of natures, two great Apus around the Cusco region or in the Cusco region. And first is Apu Ausangate, which is known as the Lord of Manifestations. It's a very powerful guardian, one of the most important guardians of the Cusco region, as they say. It is over 6,000 meters high, and hiking through this absolutely rugged beauty of Apu Ausangate is such a stunning and extraordinary experience, because you also see the Apu Koilariti, and you see these beautiful crystal clear and pristine lagoons. Is really nature kept as, perfect. There are, many different hikings that can be organized. I personally went for 1 day or 2 days. And I also want to mention here that the Apus, the lords, they also have guardians with them, and many powerful nature spirits. So these are the Nustas as well. And I want to mention them, as I was taught by Serena Anchanchu when we were doing the Nusta journey together, and we went also to Apu Ausangate. So among them, there is Doña Mugia, pictured right below, which is linked with the jaguar spirit, and she cleanses the ego and rebalances the mind and the heart, known as a mermaid. And her spirit also dwells in lakes, lagoons, waterfalls, rivers, and seas. And Dona Teresa, which is located in a glacier in the heart of Apu Ausangate. She is connected to the stars of the heart center, and she cleanses heaviness from the heart, so that we can embody more Munai, the unconditional love, the love under a will. And Maria Sacapana, that is pictured left below, the darker, pointier mountain. She's the goddess of the moon that works with the wind energy and feathers, and she removes the blockages of the throat, encourages us to bring forth our true self-expression. And Juana Wamantikla, that sits right next to her, that mountain is associated with the spirits of the falcon, the eagle, and the condor. and she offers clear vision and removes any cloudiness in the around the third eye and the pineal gland. And so, since I mentioned a little bit about Serena Anchanchu, and I've been studying with them since 2020. And last August, when I journeyed with them, embracing the Nustas here as well, I finally met one of my teachers, and his name is Don Mariano Quispe Flores. He's 82 years old and a true wisdom keeper, and he embodies Munai fully. And I knew that before they gave the students, when they completed the training, their spiritual name, and they actually stopped doing it because, yeah, it was not always liked the name, but I wanted still my name. So I asked him my name, and he had to sort of connect a little bit, and then the name Maria Wamantikla came out, which is the daughter of Apu Ausangate, which I could, of course, very resonate with because of my connection with Apu Ausangate. So I was very happy to receive the name, and yeah, which I really hold close to my heart. And as I assisted the Nusta group or the Nusta Journey group last August, we also traveled to Apu Ausangate, and we did a powerful ceremony there to connect with Maria Sakapana, the one that is connected with the wind and cleanses the throat area. And as we were sitting around the fire under the stars, there was some heavy cleansing done, and I was witnessing actually some people who were having some challenging times. But what had, um, I also had like this profound experience as we were meditating, is that I actually saw that repressed feminine from centuries ago, and that was perhaps also located microcosmically in my throat as well, which was sort of still present macrocosmically for thousands of years ago, even, but it's still present in a collective level of energy in the collective realms. And I really sensed that. And what I also sensed, which was for me powerful medicine, is that I saw a spirit, a Kedo elder, an ancestor who told me that it is all about certainty, and everything that comes from the throat comes with certainty and self-assurance. And this is also the way that we can also share our truth that needs to be heard, also with this great cleanse that this great purification that we're in, that we are sharing our truth. And also by sharing these things where sometimes it is uncomfortable, but by sharing these seeds, and through the wind, these things will be planted. So it's very important for us to, use our throat as well. So I just wanted to share this here with you. And it's also interesting because Sakapana translates as Vaira, which means wind in Quechua. And she really liberates our voice. She liberates our throat and all the heavy attachments that we may have, that we don't speak from our heart, but from our head or hurt ego. And she really encourages ourselves to be transparent to ourselves and to others, and so that we can really be open and speak more freely, and whether it's through our words, but also just through our breath and our intention, and perhaps also through song. And when I went for the first time to Apu Ausangate, that was also a very profound experience for me here. And I actually thought that I was not maybe able to make it to Apu Ausangate because I wasn't feeling well, and I didn't know if I could go for a hike and a 2-day camping and trek and everything. So I asked for a horse to help me with the ascent. When I got there, I was fine again, luckily. So I was really glad that I went, because it was one of the most profound experience I had on that journey. And during that night, it was freezing cold, and I could not sleep. And now I'm grateful for it because you were sort of more in connection with Apu Ausangate as well, and feeling the energy vibrating throughout your whole body. And the following day, we were actually supposed to be baptized by the running waters and receive the blessing from the ancestral spirits. But because many people on that journey were physically a little bit weak, it was decided not to do this baptized ceremony. And I was actually all prepared, having my bathing suit on below all the layers of clothing that I was wearing. So I decided to go to, and I was called to go to these running waters of Apu Ausangate pictured left. And I did this just very simply. I asked for the permission first, and then when I received it, I put some of the waters to my energetic centers, the third eye, the heart, and the belly. And as soon as that water touched my navel, um, something deeply profound came out, and it had also a sound, it had all tears. It was quite something else that I never experienced before by being in connection with this nature spirit. And it was also there were also, of course, cries of joy or tears of joy here that I finally made it up here, and it felt also like a confirmation to walk this path, to walk this Paqos path and spiritual path, and yeah, be really in communion with this amazing Apu. And words cannot really describe what it is all about, but these apus, these lords, there are some of them that are really holding big powers, like Apu Ausangate. They are called the Texe apus, like also Mount Ururu or Fuji, or there are many of them around the world, but this is also one of those. And um, it's just really undeniable their powers that they have. And when you also camp there, you may hear these otherworldly sounds of the geese making these sounds. Is quite a unusual sound, and just to be connected with the cosmos and the stars is just absolutely, yeah, an amazing experience. The last Apu I want to connect you with is Apu Salcantay, which is the second highest mountain in Cusco region. And it's a powerful protector and radiating with high frequency energy. And what is interesting is that Salca in Quechua means many different things, including wild, free, invincible, and untamed. It can also refer to the lower sort of survival or animalistic sort of impulses that we have that we'd like to tame here to form a better expression for ourselves. So as such, like although this Apu is a masculine being, some may also say because of these untamable, chaotic sort of wild energies it has, that it also holds some feminine qualities as well. Um, so yeah, the spirits actually also do transcend gender. So it doesn't necessarily need to be that an Apu is always a mountain, because there's also, or always masculine, because there's also feminine energy as well. So in this particular case, this Apu also transcends gender in my point of view, and is known for its powerful healing qualities, and it really can release any stuck, blocked energies and to increase freedom. And this sacred mountain is also home to the condor. And on my way to this mountain, and also whilst driving, because this picture above is not at Apu Sakontai itself, but it was on my way, I was blessed by 6 condors and a beautiful hawk as well. And Apu Sakontai is also considered as the father of the mountains in the area of Vilcabamba, which also include the famous Machu Picchu, the mountain of love, beauty, and knowledge of our ancestors, Huayna Picchu, the mountain of youth, and Putucusi, which is all around the Machu Picchu area, which is the mountain of joy and happiness. And nearby the Apu Ausangate, there is also a glacier and a lake called Nusta Umantai, pictured right below. And it represents purity, innocence, and childlike curiosity. So this is also kind of like an image that I sort of reflected my own childlike nature here as I was sort of playing with the waters there. She's also known as Tomasa Wamantikla, the goddess of freedom, connecting with the infinite light of the cosmos. And journeying to Umantai truly feels like returning to the mother, like some sort of a rebirth, inner waters that offers new life, essence, and wisdom. And I arrived at these sites without really knowing what to expect. I so I didn't know that it was so popular and that hundreds of people would come there every day to hike at Apu Ausangate. But when we arrived, it was a little later in the afternoon. And fortunately, when we started to walk to Umantai, there was hardly anybody there. So we had this freedom to be really in solitude and connect with the nature beings up there. And I really felt like my inner child awakened there, as you can see, and sense of playfulness and freedom and wonder. And when I was walking the next day to Apu Ausangate, it was pretty much like a 6 hours walk. It was quite challenging, but I was glad to make it all the way up there, or close at least up there. And it was deeply rewarding because I was doing some of my medicine mesa work there to program your intentions, your prayers, your wishes for your next cycle. And it was just really powerful to be doing this together with Apu Saukantai. And I felt also really the energy, the sunny energy throughout my whole body. And I really had to stand up because my feet were all trembling as well. And whenever I connect with Apu Saukantai, I can kind of feel that energy. And that is just such a powerful healing energy. And I'm also kind of almost convinced by having these Apu experiences that they really hold these energies and vibrations and the waters that can really heal us and also really influence our DNA and genes expressions as well. And their influence is absolutely big and transformative. So we have just a few more minutes, I see, and I do want you to connect with one of the sacred sites and invite you to journey with me to one of the sacred sites of your choice. And it could be a place that is close to your heart or a place that you like to visit or that you are attracted to. It can be also a place that is not listed here or that I have not shared. So just pick a place that you would like to travel to right now and to connect with the ancestors there. And also remember that all these sacred sites, they are not just archaeological structures or natural beauty. These are powerful portals and vortexes and doorways, gateways to a world that we can go to and where basically the time and matter and energy, all of these things kind of come together, they converge together. So we are in this sacred time and sacred space where all of these things can happen and that we are transcending this time and space. So wherever we are, we can connect with these beautiful sites. Now, I invite you to close your eyes, perhaps, if you want to go on the journey with me. And have your feet firmly into your earth, into Pachamama. And I would like you to imagine to be in that Chakana portal, that Chakana horizontally, and that you are at that center there. And that you are connected with all the directions facing east, although you don't now need to physically face east. And that you are connected with the lower world, the middle world, and the upper world. And with all of the ley lines, the Seke lines, as I was mentioning, on the earth, that's mirroring the cosmos, and that we are connecting with the sacred side of our choice, and that we can always connect with the sacred side of our choice around the earth, encircling the earth. And as you prepare to enter your chosen sacred site, let's cleanse ourselves first and call in some beautiful cosmic light vibrations from the sun, the stars, the moon, the galaxies, and just drink all of this Sami light, this light vibrational water, this cosmic light, honey light, into the crown. And just let it pour through your crown all the way down, through your spine, your root, and all the way through your legs and your feet to earth. And just cleanse yourself with this beautiful white light, that Sami light. And just drink more to fill yourself up, to fully cleanse ourselves as we prepare ourselves to visit this sacred site. And now also set your intention here for the journey. What is it, what you seek right now? Whether it is guidance or support, wisdom, healing, or perhaps it is simple curiosity. And take some breaths here. And now let us visualize ourselves to be in a beautiful landscape, and that there is a path. You find yourself that path that links you to that sacred site. And perhaps it's a cobblestone path, or a trail of larger rocks, or a watery or a sandy or grassy path beneath your feet. And as you walk this path, just walk with your intent. With every step you take, walk with intent, your path, that pilgrimage to that sacred site. And imagine that you are stepping into the footsteps of our ancestors on this path. And each step becomes like a part of your own journey of self-discovery, and connecting you with that sacred site and how it holds significance to you personally, how it relates to you, again, microcosmic and microcosmically. And as you approach the sacred site, imagine to see a doorway, a portal of light, and perhaps this portal of light is in the wall, it's in the mountain, or it's in the site itself. Now step through this doorway and step into this realm of timeless, this cosmic, universal wisdom of our ancestors. And just feel that sacred energy of that place, of our ancestors, and just bath in that energy of that sacred place. Dai, 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 dai. Die, 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 die. Die, 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 die. Die, 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 da, 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 die. Die, die, die. Die, 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 da, 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 die. Die, die, die. Die, 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 da, 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 die, die. Die, die, die. Die, 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 da, 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 die, die. Die, die, die. Die, 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 da, 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 die, die. Die, die, da, da, die. Die, 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 da, 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 die, die. Die, die, die. Bathing that energy of the ancestors, that doorway, this timeless wisdom, this timeless energy. And now I would like to ask you to connect with the ancestral spirits of this site. Calm them. Sense their presence. Perhaps you see, hear, or feel them. And reflect on your intention again while you're here at this sacred site. What would you like to know? Do you have a question or a request? Or is there any guidance that you're seeking here right now from our ancestors? You may also ask for a message or a sign or a gift here. And I'm going to give you here some time to commune with the ancestors. Allow yourself to fully receive their wisdom and energy. And as you connect with the ancestors and the messages, just listen here as well. la tierra, nay, na, 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 nay, has never, el sol es tu Dios, sabia de la tierra, nay, na, 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 nay, nay, na, 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 nay, nay, na, 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 nay, nay, na, 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 nay, na, 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 nay, nay. La luz en tu interior, zumbi, zumbi, luna, nay, na, 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 nay, nay. Hazme ver el cielo y la tierra, zumbi, zumbi, luna, nay, na, 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 nay, nay, na, 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 nay, nay, na, 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 nay, nay, na, 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 nay, na, 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 nay, nay, na, 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 nay, nay, na, 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 nay, nay. Hazme ver la luz de tu interior, zumbi, zumbi, luna, nay, na, 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 nay. And now call upon the ancestral spirits of the sacred sites and give gratitude to all of the wisdom, knowledge, and energy that you have received. And take also some deep breaths here to whatever you have received here, to really integrate it into your whole body, whatever it was that you received here from these ancestors. And in reciprocity, in return, let us give something to that spirit ally that was here for you. Perhaps it's an energetic flower, some gesture, or a breath of intention. Anything that comes from your heart is all great. And when you're ready, give thanks to the ancestor of that sacred site. And then let us move back. Now gently move back. Step back into that portal, that doorway that brought you there. And go back to that path. And walk slowly, each step carrying you with you, all that knowledge or wisdom or energy with you, and bring that back home. And bring that back home where you find yourself here again. As you return here and deeply connect again with your feet underground. And perhaps you want to put your hands also towards the ground, just to give also in reciprocity the energies to the earth for all the ley lines. That all what we have received, that we are also giving back again to her. And offer that all of that life vibration that you received, all of these energies, give it also back to her. And send forth our light and love and appreciation to her and all that she provides. And take a couple of deep breaths here. grounding yourself fully in this moment. You may open up your eyes right now whenever you feel ready. And you may want to write down some of your experience here in the chat, or write some notes for yourself, or just keep it in your heart. And I realize now that we went a little over time, and I just want to give you two more slides here to show you just a little bit about my teachers and the sacred sites or sacred journeys that we're planning for next summer. And you're, of course, invited to explore further here. And I have more teachers than what I'm presenting here, but here I'd like to honor Serena Anchanchu, the wonderful teachers there, a school that is dedicated to preserving and sharing the Andean wisdom teachings. And I would like to show you Don Mariano Quispe Flores. He's the elder I was talking about, of 82 years old. And he's a recognized Kudakakuyak, which is an esteemed healer, teacher, and ceremonialist from the Kedo community in Charcapata. And he's also renowned for his mastery of his pulse reading, diagnose ability, and also his connections with the stars. And in the group picture, you see him again. And on the far right is his son. His name is Don Santiago Quispe Capa, and he is the Pampames Yok, an Andean priest and earth keeper, continuing his father's lineage of wisdom and service. And next to Don Mariano on the other side, the taller man, is Don Hernan Quiliahuman Quispe, who's also Pampamesa Yok and healer and ceremonialist from the highlands of Chinchero. And in the group picture on the far left is Don Luis Alegio Mango, who's the founder of Serena Anchanchu and also a Paco and translator. And he serves as one of the contacts for the Paqos, and he also organizes these teachings so that we can learn them as well. And he organizes also retreats and offers transformative experiences through his school. There's some other respected teachers here as well that are not pictured, but I do love to mention them here, are Don Claudio Quispe Samata and Doña Agustina Capachampi. And I would like to announce here that the next sacred journey with Serena will be taking place in August 2025. And I don't have the exact days here yet, but these will all be made available soon, including the program and itinerary. And another extraordinary group of honored teachers is the one I'm often also referring people to, is the school Noqan Kani, founded by Master Puma Freddy Quispe and his dedicated team. And Master Puma was initiated into his spiritual path at the young age of 6 by his grandfather Papakai, who was the last living carrier of their ancestral legacy called the Kanchis Ilya rainbow lineage, passed down through generations. And from that early age, Puma began to learn and master the Andean wisdom traditions and rituals. And he now carries actually Papakai's dream to bring forward this lineage and to ensure that it's still alive, and not only for the community of the Chinchero peoples, but for a whole global family. And picture on the right is this beautiful sister Magali Quispe, who's known for her remarkable gifts to connect with the spirit realms in her dreams. And she is also known for her strong alliance with the Sachamama, the chief of the plant kingdom. And the team, the Noqan Kani family, represents a whole team of powerful medicine men and women. And I just named the first name, is including Maria Elena, Nelida, Alfredo, Edgar, Wilfredo, Jotmar, Ruben, Marina, and Valdemar. and each member carries unique wisdom and medicine and expertise as an Apu and Nusta Paco. So together they offer a diverse range of Andean traditions and teachings. So I also would like to announce here that in addition to the Serena journey, that I will be also honored to offer and co-facilitate a journey with Pumadventures of Noqan Kani in the summer of 2025. And more detailed information about this exciting journey will be shared soon. So this was my presentation. Thank you for joining me and sticking here around, even though we passed time a little over. I hope that all of these wisdom and blessings that you have received continue to guide and inspire you on your path. And please stay tuned for any updates that are coming up for our travel journeys and opportunities to connect more deeply with the Andean wisdom traditions. And if you're interested to stay updated, in particularly for these sacred journeys, then you can contact me as on this email listed here, as well as sign up for my newsletter so you are updated about all the new things that are happening. So I look forward to staying connected with you, and I thank you for sharing this beautiful space.
Thank you. There were a number of comments and people saying that they wish that you had been able to finish whatever your original presentation was supposed to be. So maybe at some point you'll come back and do a round two of sacred sites, because everyone was really appreciating it. Yeah, I'm seeing part two with exclamation points. So yeah, so please, if you're not already a member of our global community, please join us at shamansdirectory.com. Sign up for our newsletter so that you can learn about more events like this. And our next live event, our next Saturday live event will be Saturday, December 14th. So we invite you to mark your calendars and join us then. So thank you again, everyone. Have a wonderful rest of your weekend. Many blessings. And thank you again, Mayumi, for such a gift.
It was a great pleasure. Thank you all.